get started. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to QuickBooks for Small Business Owners webinar by Lorna Whitaker from Business Beyond the Shoebox. Today is the second session of our two series, and we'll take a deeper dive today and learn how to manage everyday tasks and transactions. My name is Jeannie Yang. I'm a business counselor at Pace. Thank you all for joining us today. This webinar is brought to you in partnership with the City of LA Economic and Workforce Development Department, EWDD, and BusinessSource, Pico-Union Westlake region, operated by Pace Business Development Center. This webinar will be recorded, and at the end of the webinar, you'll be asked to participate on our survey. So please make sure that you complete the survey, as it'll help us to plan our future webinars in a better ways. And before we learn something new today, I'll do a quick introduction on Pace. Okay, that's not moving. There we go. Pace, we were established in 1976, and we are a 501c nonprofit organization. We are a community development organization that creates economic solutions to meet the employment, education, housing, environment, and business development challenges of low-income residents in the Pacific Asian and other diverse communities of Los Angeles. We offer one-on-one business counseling, credit and asset building, business and financial plan development, webinars and trainings to help you establish a brand new business or take your current business up to another level. We also guide you to get into the procurement contract through our MBDA department. And all our services are free. So if you have any questions about our services, any interest about our programs or the lending products, please visit our website, pacelabdc.org, for more information. All right, that's all yours. Thank you.
Awesome. Good morning, everyone. We're going to be getting set up here in just a second. We are doing a live demo as part of this presentation today. I have dropped the test drive that QuickBooks Online offers for you if you would like to follow along, but it's not a requirement. So I'll drop it in again right before we start. What I would like as I'm getting set up is if anyone here today is using QuickBooks Desktop or believes that they will be going to QuickBooks Desktop, if you just drop that in the chat for me, I'll know then better how to spend my time today to make sure that this presentation gives you as much content that's really useful for you. So I'm going to get set up for the slide presentation, which is just going to be a brief part of this. So here I go. Okay, the slide presentation is up. And I believe that everyone can see it. If you cannot, please just let Jeannie know. And so we're going to get started. So today's presentation is that second session of this two-part presentation on QuickBooks bookkeeping and accounting fundamentals. So next is, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the disclaimer. The most important part for you to know is that I am not an attorney, a CPA, or a licensed tax professional. I do not and cannot give you legal advice. I provide general information that is useful for business owners for running their businesses. One of my favorite little quotes is that entrepreneurship is like riding a lion. People look at you and think you are really brave, and all the time you're thinking, how the hell did I get on a lion, and how do I keep from getting eaten? And I know that it can feel that way. Okay, today's presentation is we're going to do navigating QuickBooks Desktop and QuickBooks Online versions. They're different. And payments and writing checks, which almost everybody wants to know, and creating invoices, and then receiving payments and recording deposits. So we're going to try to cover as much of that as we can today. Remember that learning how to use QuickBooks is kind of like when you buy a new car and it has all those new features, you have to learn how to use them, where they are, and they may be unfamiliar to you in the beginning. The more you practice and use them, then the better you will get at doing them until they become nearly effortless. From Tuesday's presentation, I remind you that the chart of accounts is the foundation upon which QuickBooks is built. This is accounting, bookkeeping software that is really powerful, does a really great job. The thing is that people think that the problem they're having with QuickBooks is they think that it's the technology. It can be tricky, but the more you use it, the better you will get with it. What I have discovered is that when people are having trouble running their businesses by the numbers, is because they don't understand what is contained in the chart of accounts. There are 6 elements that you absolutely have to know. What is on the balance sheet? Assets, liabilities, equity. That's simple, and it's going to be one of these things if it's on the balance sheet. The profit and loss is going to be income, cost of goods sold, and expenses. When you know what something is, fantastic. It gets really easy to put it in. Sometimes I find that if you don't know, if you say, I don't know, I know that what it's not. So if it's not income, okay, but it's money coming into my bank account, what is it? Okay. So this is the QuickBooks desktop. I'm going to check the chats real quick. So let's see. Online desktop version. Okay, so we do have. I use the app. Is it better to use the desktop? If you're talking about QuickBooks Online, so to answer that question, desktop, except their most expensive version, is no longer being sold. Okay, only those of us who have had it for a while were allowed to renew the subscription, and at some point they will be canceling QuickBooks Desktop, except the very, very most expensive version. So I hope that answers your question, Maurice. All right, so this is what the desktop version looks like. There are multiple ways to get to any particular section of the desktop version. That's also true of the online version. So if you'll note up here at the top, and I'm going to get my little note taker here, up here at the top, you have a drop down menu, okay? That menu has all the different features. So here's the thing I would repeat about QuickBooks Online. It is accounting software, okay? And so they think about what you need to know for doing your bookkeeping and getting your reports. But there's multiple ways, again, to get there. So you can also do what's called a shortcut. The online version really has just the shortcut. Okay. This part here, this big window here, okay, is called the navigator. Okay. If you accidentally lose it, it's really easy to find because it's right, there's a little X here, but you can go to your navigator and relaunch it. It's really easy, so don't panic. What they did originally was they created a roadmap for you, the way things process. Now, the important thing for both the online versions and the desktop version is this part right here. Okay. If you decide to use accounts payable and you enter bills, you must use the pay bills feature. Now, this allows you to put it into accounts payable, and then when you pay the bills, you can run an aging report that shows you what is still due. If you prefer, you can simply write a check. But you would not use the enter bills. You would just, I received the bill, it's on my desk, I'm gonna pay it right away. I just jump in and I write the check. Okay, easy peasy. But if you do the enter the bills, you cannot go directly to write the checks. All it does is mess up your accounts payable and things will get really out of whack. QuickBooks is not friendly about that. Making those corrections and cleanup takes work. So know which way you want to process it. Know which way a bookkeeper is processing it for you. But I encourage you that if you've been in business for a while, definitely use the enter bills and the pay bills features because it will allow you to manage your cash flow better. The other piece is that when you create invoices, okay, you must receive the payments through receive payments. You must do that. Creating an invoice creates an accounts receivable. When you receive the payment, it allows you to reduce what's in your accounts receivable. Then you can do a receivables report, and this works on online version as well. So I'll show you how to navigate that a little bit later, but in the live demo. But this is really an important piece because again, QuickBooks is not friendly about it. If you create an invoice, you must receive the payment. If you receive a payment, okay, for something, you certainly can just go to record deposits. Okay, you can just record deposits there. So then this is the reconcile button. One of the things I want you to do in both online and desktop, even if you're getting your bank feeds directly into QuickBooks, and that's a little more advanced training. It's super simple once you're set up. The online version has you set it up right at the beginning, okay? The desktop version didn't require that. And something else that I would really like to point out right now, people have this idea that when they post something or do something in QuickBooks, it tells the bank what they're doing. That is not the case. Okay? What you do, what you're telling the bank to do, okay, is not recorded in QuickBooks. And what you're telling QuickBooks to do is not recorded in the bank. On the online version, it syncs up a little bit, but don't think that if you say that I'm writing a check here in QuickBooks that the check went out or that you made the payment. You have to tell QuickBooks what you're doing. And I think that that was one of the things I found that business owners regularly misunderstood. QuickBooks is a standalone tool, okay? All right, let's see what else I want to cover here. So payroll is a big feature that is available through QuickBooks. There are multiple ways that you can do payroll. Payroll is an advanced training. I just want you to know that it is available to you, and there's a timekeeper, and there's lots of really, really good things that QuickBooks offers to make your payroll easier. This is for people who are experienced in running payroll. Okay, this is not for the novice. If you're new to running payroll, you might be better off, and in fact, I believe that you will be if you actually use a third-party service, something like Gusto or Sure Payroll or ADP or an experienced bookkeeper. It's really easy to get into serious mischief and trouble trying to do payroll when you don't understand how to do it. You can certainly learn how. You certainly can learn how. Okay, so let's go to QuickBooks Online. Oh, I'll have to erase all of these guys here. Hold on a second. Okay, we're ready to go. All right. Now, like I said, in the online version, you have a shortcut. It's right there. So then you would click on dashboard, banking, sales, and all of this changes. In the desktop version, when you have something open and you go to another place, it leaves it open. On QuickBooks Online, it closes it and it opens a new window. So that's one of the big differences. And we're going to discuss all of that. So pay attention. New is important. Okay. Your cog gear is important. Okay. And then you're going to see a lot of different shortcuts that are going to make this easier for you. It was designed to make bookkeeping easier. So it's very intuitive and it really works hard to learn. Both the online version and the desktop version learn. You can train them so that they know how your business operates and they can really help you do things a whole lot faster. The one thing in QuickBooks Online that I think is very different is that when you're in different places, you see this, barely see it over here. See this gray bar over here? See this spot down here, down at the bottom of the blank? That means there's more information. You can scroll up and you can scroll down. And so when you pop in and you look at it, you go, I'm not finding what I need. Remember, scroll up, scroll down. It will help. The other thing is, and this is I find really funny, you may think you have lost your mind. You'll be out of QuickBooks Online for a little while. You'll come back, even if it's a week, you can come back and things are in a different place. QuickBooks Desktop, you update the preferences and you update the program and things like that when there's a new software override, okay? QuickBooks Online, they just do it for you and they don't tell you. And then when you come back to it, you can't find where something was before and you think you've lost your mind. You haven't. It's just the way QuickBooks works. And you will get used to it because you're using it regularly. Okay. All right. Now, we're not covering these topics today. I'm going to give you just some really quick basic tips. The desktop version, you must manually do the backup and restoring, okay? Please, when you've done a lot of work on it, go ahead and do one. You should do it at least weekly, monthly, somewhere in there. Reconciling, the online version automatically backs up. Reconciling, this means a hard reconcile between your bank statements and credit card statements and your QuickBooks. Please do not think you cannot do this. It makes a huge difference for confidence and knowing that your books are exactly what they should have and that they're clean and functional. Vendors and 1099s, QuickBooks is really great at giving you lots of flexibility. The desktop version allowed you to kind of declare people that you paid as others. For example, Amazon, they don't get a 1099. Your telephone company doesn't get a 1099. However, in the online version, they don't have the other option. Everybody is a vendor, which can make doing your 1099s a really big project unless you actually go in and say, this is a 1099 vendor. POS, point of sale software, and other add-on apps work well in the beginning, but sometimes they can get very glitchy because it's not QuickBooks' job to make sure that your other outside software is talking to QuickBooks. So that's like becomes an advanced conversation, particularly for large, larger retail kind of companies. Sales taxes, it does a really good job, but that's all done in the invoicing. So that's an advanced conversation. And then we just covered a little bit about payroll. Best practices, we're going to go through these really, really fast for you. Record and post your transactions weekly. In the online version, it will get out of control so fast, it'll make your head spin. If you take care of them weekly, you will remember what they are. You'll be able to post them quickly. You'll be able to know exactly whether they're income or cost of goods or what those things are. Record and post your bank transactions first and your credit card transactions second. I find that that really makes it easy for me to look back later and know what I'm looking at. I'm just telling you, it's a practice that I have found has made my life easier and everything go faster and more smoothly. Record and post what you know first, what you recognize what it is, and then tackle at least one or two of the harder ones each time you work on your books. Optimally, you would post what you know, you'd be able to get through the ones that you don't know and be able to have, clean posting transactions. And we'll see what that looks like. Review every transaction and watch for changes QuickBooks makes before posting. This is that part where I say that QuickBooks is trying to learn, and it sets up rules, and it says, well, you're telling it, if it looks like this, then this is what it is. But sometimes it could be a refund and not an expense, or sometimes it could be a cost of goods and not an expense. And I have found places where you posted something wrong, you told it was a cost of goods, when in fact it was income, okay? And QuickBooks remembered that you said it was cost of goods. Until you actually post a similar transaction and tell it that it was in fact income, it won't know that, okay? And it'll continue to post it wrong. So pay attention to those information, and I'll show you where those are. The QuickBooks support team are for your tech needs, okay? Use a trusted CPA or bookkeeper for your accounting and bookkeeping questions. Don't rely on the QuickBooks support team, okay? If you get behind on your bookkeeping, get caught up. Do not neglect this important part of your business. It's going to create a lot of problems for you down the road. And remember, your bookkeeping is for your business, for you to make strategic decisions, for you to know your financial health. This is not about what your tax preparer or the IRS needs to know. This is for you. Yes, your CPA will use it. Yes, the IRS will want to see it, but this information is for you to run a healthy business. And because you've asked, okay, QuickBooks does offer a way to track your mileage, and you can set it up only in QuickBooks Online, or you can get an Android or iOS app. And I provided a link for you, which you will get when you get the handout. So no need to worry about this now. But you can turn it on or turn it off in QuickBooks Online. And this is just, we kind of covered it before in Tuesday's presentation. It will improve financial health, protects your business, provides reliable data, help you create financial predictability, help you budget and manage cash flow, allow you to plan and measure for results. It will make taxation easier, maybe not less painful if you have to pay taxes, but it will save you time. And here's some more tips. This is really important. Run your business by the numbers. Make more money than you spend. Keep separate personal and business bank accounts and credit cards. Manage cash flow. Choose a bank that provides suitable business services. This is important. Not all banks connect to QuickBooks. Use accounting software. If you don't use QuickBooks, use something. Okay. Review your financial reports regularly. Manage debt strategically. I have a client right now that is struggling with her cash flow. She's paying over $300 a month just in finance charges. Stop that. It hurts your future. Figure out how to get that debt paid down. Build an emergency fund and stay on top of what you need to know about your taxes. Okay, so we're getting ready for the live demo. We're going to navigating QuickBooks Desktop and QuickBooks Online. I think we'll start with the online version, and then we're going to cover payments and writing checks, creating invoices, and receiving payments and recording. And I'm going to just check in chats real quick and see if we have I have a quick question there. Let me see. So somebody asked, where does the online version QuickBooks store your data? Is it possible to download the information? Great question. I'll show you how. It stores it in the cloud. It's encrypted and protected, but you cannot download the company file like you can in desktop. You have to download the transaction details, and I'll make a mental note to cover that. Okay. Yeah, almost everybody is in the online version. A few are in the desktop. If I miss questions for you that you have in desktop, be sure to ask what you'd like to know. The navigation is slightly different, but the functionality is exactly the same. Okay. So again, knowledge is the gatekeeper to having a business and life you love. Clarity, focus, and action are the trifecta of getting results. And if you want to have $1 million business, treat it like one. And then I provided you a link to one of my blogs that I think is fun and informative. Okay, so I'm going to shift over right now. I'm going to jump into the chats. I'm going to send you the link to the online test drive for anybody that would like it. Give me just a moment to stop this share and start a new one. And please know that it takes me just a moment to get signed into the desktop version myself. So cue the hold music. Okay. All right. No, I'm not a robot. Let me in, please. We all good, Jeannie?
We're good.
Okay. All right. So there's that screen. Now let me hit the share button again.
There we go. Okay, good.
No, you've got it looks like you got my slide deck again. Do you have my slide deck?
No, it's into a QuickBooks. I can see the QuickBooks.
You can see the QuickBooks. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm going to stop this one here so I don't see it in show. Okay. All righty then. Okay. So do I have a little marker that I can show you. And I'm going to be jumping around. Where is that? There it is. There's that. Okay. Here we go. So they're using a generic design and landscaping services business. Like I said, there are two major shortcuts. One is over here on the left, okay? And you can adjust what you see down here at the bottom. Okay, and then your gear button. These are major components for where you're going to be finding what it is that you need to know. So let me get these erased. Okay. And close. All right. You'll see there's a new button right here. So let's look at the gear icon first. In the gear icon, this has got a lot of navigation. Each one of these things on this list takes you to a different location. Please note the chart of accounts. This is where a lot of activity will occur and will help you get clarity on what it is that you're doing and what accounts you already have set up. You have all your lists, item lists. An item list can be, you can have a payroll item list, which helps you to set up for payroll. You have an invoice item list. So there's lots of things there. And you'll see if I click on it, that it takes me over to lists. And it has multiple things: recurring transactions, products and services, which is part of your invoicing system, product categories, custom forms and styles, custom fields. These are all advanced features. Payment methods allows you to set up whether you get paid by cash or check or online, PayPal, Square, whatever. If you get paid by these other entities, there's usually a fee for that. Remember the rule about if you create an invoice that you must use the received payments. You will pay the customer, will show that the customer paid in full. Then you have to show where that money went. Sometimes you have to use what I call a clearing account, which allows you to put it in so you can assess the merchant service fees. And this is, again, a little bit more advanced, but there's some very useful ways that you can do this to make it fast and easy for yourself. Okay, so now you see that I don't really have any way of going back. So I have to go back to this little icon here, looks like. No, to go back to the gear. To go back to the gear. So I go back to the gear, okay, and then I can get back to these functions. Okay, but you can see that everything under lists is also listed right here. And this icon here, this shortcut, is to the rules that QuickBooks uses for posting transactions to assist you. And you can go there at any time and update the rules or turn them off. Okay, or turn them off for a particular kind of transaction. This is really great. So here's some tools. This is for importing data, import desktop data. They really want you to convert. Okay, conversion is typically pretty easy. You can get some support. It can be a little buggy, so you really want to make sure that everything came through like it should. Export data, there, I'm not sure, I've not used that. I use the download feature into Excel. There's reconciling, budgeting, audit log. An audit log allows a business owner to see what changes have been made to the transactions. And one of the things that you can do as a business owner is you can set up a preference so that a user doesn't have access to making certain kinds of changes. And this is really important. And then you have your subscriptions, feedback, and privacy. Okay. And there's some tutorials. The online QuickBooks community is really, really great for helping you manage all of this. All right. All right. So this little thing here, this actually closed down your shortcut. So I want to look at my dashboard. So let's go over to the dashboard. I'm going to go to the home. Now you'll see further down, closer to the bottom of your screen, you're going to see your bank accounts, profit and loss, your expenses, your invoices. It's going to give you, you know, the what's due, how many are unpaid, you know, those kinds of things. You have the ability to customize the layout so that you see what you want to see. Okay? So let's go to bank transactions. For many of you, this is where you will spend about 80% of your time. When you first set up your online account, it will connect your bank account to it. It is very useful to do. And then everything starts feeding in to your into your books. On the desktop version, you set it up. And the way it works on the desktop version is that you go to your bank, you download the transactions. When you click on them, they will begin importing into your books and allow you to post them through a feature called bank feeds. It's very, very useful. Now, the first time you do it, if you haven't been doing it on desktop, the first time you do it, you may get a whole lot of other things that are older, and you can just simply just say, ignore them, and it'll delete them for you. Okay. None of it deletes it from the bank. Again, you're only bringing this information into your QuickBooks. Okay. So let's just close this little window and take a quickie look here. Let me get my little marker back up for you. Okay. This part here is just a summary of what's going on. All right. Please note that there is a drag bar right here that allows you to move sideways. Okay. Down here are your transactions. You can add them at one at a time, or you can batch them. You can print them, you can export them, and you have another little gear button over here as well. Before we check on what's under the gear, we will take a little look at this. So it's posting them by date. It says the name, okay? It says who the payee is. And typically this name over here under description, this is what the bank knows it to be. The payee, this is who you're telling it. You're setting up your vendors for this. Please do not use something called uncategorized income or uncategorized expense. What this is telling you is it doesn't know what this is. It needs you to tell it what it is. This is why it's important to be posting your transactions at least weekly so that you remember what it is. And so you'll see that if it was something you paid, it's in the spent column. And if it's something that got paid to you, it's in the received column. All right. And if you've made your changes, typically it will put a check mark in here for you already. But if you like it, you can just say, oh, this is correct and I like it. So let me go here and erase these for you. Okay. Turn this off. Now you'll see a little further down here that it found matches. It means that, let's say you had received a payment and you knew what the payment was, then it'll say, oh, this was fine. I recorded the receipt of the payment. It went into my bank account for this amount of money. The bank says you received this amount of money, you have a match. And it's, if you have a lot of them and you recognize them and they're all correct, you just click the box, okay? Otherwise, you can post them one at a time, match, 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 okay? So for example, I'm just going to grab this one here. And it matched and posted it, recorded it, okay? Over, let's see what the icon has. Okay. So this icon says that you can add columns so you can see more or you can see less. What works for you? So feel free to just kind of browse around so that you get familiar and make sure that your QuickBooks is customized to serve you, because that's its job. Its job is to help make this part of running your business easier and faster. Okay, so I can go to these transactions, okay, receipts. And please know that this is a test drive and it doesn't necessarily have all of the functionality. All right, so bank transactions. Like I said, this is where you'll spend most of your time. And each one of these buttons here has some additional information if you just rest on it. So it's under taxes, it'll have sales taxes, income taxes. Remember, income taxes is a personal expense. 1099 filings, that's for your vendors. It'll help you create budgets. It would just take you to a new place because it doesn't have an additional space. And you'll see the ones that do have a little arrow next to it. Payroll takes you to employees. Interestingly, it calls independent contractors under the payroll feature. Independent contractors are not employees. It has a customer section, expenses, bills, vendors, contractors, mileage, etc. Again, it's like a new car. You'll use the features that are useful for you, and you will learn as you go. And you can Google a question about QuickBooks Online and ask the question, how do I in QBO? And then you'll get some training. Of course, they also have trainings here, okay? And they have a tour. Let's go to sales. So one of the things that I said that I would do is I would show you how to basically write a check. So we're going to pay bills. So let's find these expenses. So here's our bills. So if you have a bill, you would post your bills here. So add a bill. There's your add a bill button. Okay. It will let you add the vendor as part of the process of creating the bill. Pay the bills. This is the feature that if I've posted the bills, I'm going to pay the bills. That simple. All right. So there's that. So let's look at sales. So here's where I'm going to create invoices. This is a shortcut. Create an invoice for your customers. After you prepare the first few, you will start knowing what you need to know, and it will allow you to create the items. An item is, for example, if you're providing a product or you're providing a service, you would set it up right there. And again, just Google the question and start looking for what your business needs. Okay. Get some additional training. This is certainly something that I do, just so that you know. And you want to start making QuickBooks serve you. Keep it as simple as you need. Complexity costs time, creates frustration. Keep it simple and build an infrastructure that supports you as your business grows. Okay. You can create estimates, you can create products and services, you can create customers. However, all of that can be created as you're creating your invoice. You'll start to type something in, you'd say widget 1, and it'll say that doesn't exist. Do you want to add it? And you go yes, and you add it right then and there. And then you go to the next one. And you can customize the way that they look, and you'll see here also that you can receive payments. So all these shortcuts are really right here. You can create a sales receipt. Let's say I'm not going to invoice them, but I want to show the products that I sold or the services that I provided, but they've already paid me. So I'm going to create that. When you're receiving your payments and when you're creating a sales receipt, you're going to tell QuickBooks where the money was deposited. If it was deposited straight to your bank account in exactly that amount, fine. If, however, and I use Square, that I don't get all of it. I post the sale, let's say it's $200, and they keep back about $10 for their merchant service fees. That is what goes into my bank account. I see $190. So I have a Square clearing account in my chart of accounts that I have built for that. So remember that we can go to our chart of accounts right here. And this is where I would create a new chart of account. And here's your new button. Okay. And then there's a drop down next to it. This is for importing. So I want to do new, and I'm going to create a new account. What is the account name? The name is I'm going to call it Square Clearing Account. It will be a type of bank account. So I'm going to say, what account type is it? It's a bank account. Detail type, cash on hand, or I can see if there's another one that's better for me. It's a type of checking account, rinse, health, and I'm just going to call it a cash on hand. It works fine. I can make it a sub account. I don't typically. Means I can, when I click this button, it'll say which account do you want to make it a sub account. So the parent account could be a checking account. I don't do that with this clearing accounts. I don't need an opening balance. It's not relevant. You can add it if you want. You can add a description if you want. This is just still a Square clearing account. Okay, and you can say, I'm just typing these in. All right. And then I'm going to save it. And there it is. There's my Square clearing account. Bank accounts have registers. I can view the register. I can connect to a bank. I can edit the name. I can make it inactive. I can run a report. All of these things are useful. It's like shopping at Home Depot. If I need a hammer, I need to know where I'm going to find the hammer. But the first thing I need to do is identify what it is I'm looking for. When you first get confronted with QuickBooks or you're struggling to grow your QuickBooks, this is where that Intuit community can help, where you can go, how do I? And then it'll start giving you some information. It's very useful. Okay, and you'll see here's my accounts receivable. Maybe I want to run an aging report. Okay, run a report. There is a different way of running aging reports, but this is your chart of accounts. Right here in the blue, okay, it allows me to back up to where I was before. This makes things faster, particularly if your internet connection is a bit slow. This allows you to back up to where you were to begin with. Otherwise, you end up opening a whole new section. So this is all navigation tools. Or you can go right back over here and go, I want to do something different. I want to run reports. And it's going to say these are my favorites. Again, you can mark them as a favorite if you want. Remember, you have a drag down here. There's lots and lots and lots of really useful reports for you. Just tons of them, but it can be really overwhelming. Don't overwhelm. Now, someone did ask about how I download the information. One of the ways of downloading information is right here under transaction detail by account or transaction list by date. Love these two kinds of reports. But if you want more information, I go straight to reports. I'm sorry, go up here. I'm on reports. And I'm going to go to my profit and loss. And my profit and loss is right here. Now, you see you have the date. You can customize it here. You can switch to different kinds of views. You can customize it. Typically, it's very standard. You've got your cash basis and you got your accrual basis. If you want to see or download your transactions, you can go to net income, double click, and this is your transaction report, and then you would just download it. Certainly, if you're looking at for a year or for a month or whatever, you can download it. It gives you the transactions. This is also a good place to look to make sure things are properly being recorded. Okay, let me check real quick, see what else I wanted to be sure to cover for you. So we are going to navigating. So we've done the navigation part, payments and writing checks, and then creating invoices and receiving payments and recording deposits. So so if you want to just write a check, okay, bank transactions, receipts, reconcile rules, okay, all of this here. It's interesting that I believe that writing checks occurs right here, vendors. And then you go to the new button, and I believe that it's right here. There it is, check. So this is where I would write a check if I need to write a check. Okay, remember that if I've posted them to accounts payable using the post bills feature, I would pay it from this window here, pay bills. Then it allows me to select the payee. In this case, I'm just grabbing PG&E, and it says that I owe them $86.44, and then I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to schedule the payment. I'm going to click it here. And again, this doesn't allow me to see that. So what it'll do, it'll say, how do you want to pay it? Do I want to pay it by credit card? Am I going to pay it by writing a check? Am I going to pay it from my Square account? Am I going to pay it through Venmo? How am I going to actually pay it? And each of those accounts needs to be set up on your chart of accounts. And you also have that in the payment feature. Okay, so I'm going to close this window here. Okay, I'm going to deselect that. I'm going to close, see this X up here? I can close this window here. Okay. So I see a couple of chats have come through. Let me just check real quick. So I'm not sure how to say your name correctly. Masami asked, I have a question about how to record expenses paid by a credit card, especially if I don't pay the full credit card balance. Then the numbers don't match between the total expenses paid and the credit card. Love the question. Love the question. So with credit card payments, what you're asking for is if I don't pay paying the credit card is different than paying the bill. Okay? Paying the credit card balance is different than paying the bill. If I have a vendor, okay, let's go back to this. Vendors, I am going to go to vendors, bills. Okay, I'm going to use Norton lumber. Let's say that I'm only going to pay Norton lumber partial. So I have a choice here, mark as paid, duplicate, delete. Okay, I'm going to schedule the payment. Now that could be for the same day. This is the problem with this particular feature because it doesn't show you that you have the option to record how you paid it, meaning what kind of account, credit card or bank, and how much you paid. If you only pay part, it will hold the balance that you didn't pay. So if you pay $100 and you schedule the payment, it will show that you paid the vendor the $100 and that you still owe them $105. If you want to pay your credit card, okay, you have the ability, and what most people do is they just write a check to the credit card through the check writing feature. And there. So then I would say, who did I pay? And in this case, I'm going to see if I've got my credit card. So I'm going to say that I have capital one. And I usually put credit card when I'm creating a new account, and I might put the last four, 5, 6, 7. Okay. And it'll say, oh, I don't have this. And you just go add new. Okay. Now it wants you to create this vendor. So this is the way it's going to display. You can add it here. It's going to be capital 1. And you can put in as much and as little information in this as works for you. You can have addresses. There's lots you can do here. You're going to say that you're going to pay them through an ACH thing. You could create their routing number and their bank information. Just tons and tons. See how I'm scrolling down? So then I hit save. So I'm set it up. So I'm going to pay them out of my checking account. Okay, and I'm going to pay them today. And I can print it, or if I'm not printing my checks, I just leave this open. Okay, then I go over, where is that amount? Okay, so this is where I'm not familiar. So there's a way to payment, check number, print, tag. Oh. All right, so the category, this is where you need to know your expenses and your, whether it's income and that sort of thing, or whether it's cost of goods. You would type in your description, and then you type in the amount. And let's say I'm going to pay that. I'm going to pay my credit card $500. I can say that it's billable, it's taxable, etc., and it's related to a customer. Again, advanced and sophisticated. And now, please note here it says save and close. Okay, up here at the top, now it has updated the amount. So I'm putting all the information that I want it to know, and this will apply and reduce the balance that I owe to my credit card. So I love the question because it allowed me to show you some different ways and nuances for doing this. So great question. Now, if I hit the X, it will say, do you want to leave without saving? In this particular case, because this is a demonstration, I'm going to say yes. But I could have saved it and it would have applied it to the credit card. Okay. We're coming up on time. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the QuickBooks desktop. The functionality is the same in the sense that all you need to know is what you're doing. I'm making a deposit. I'm writing a check. I'm reconciling. That's the clarity piece. And then you just start navigating through it. I find generally that desktop is easier, but today more people are using the online version because we've been forced to do it. And what I'd like to do, I think at this moment, is keep this open. Let me check and make sure that I've really delivered what I promised. Receiving payments and recording. So we've talked about all of those things. And so I know that you're going to have questions about this, and I would really love to be able to answer some specific questions so that I can help you learn, because this is how it's done. You ask your question, how do I? You can ask me today right now, or you can ask the online community. So I am going to grab, I'm going to check the chat box right now.
Okay, the latest, the last question, Lorna,
Mm-hmm.
is that can I set up expenses for auto payments?
Yes. Yes. Love, love, love this question. Yes, you can. But remember that you're setting it up in two places. Setting it up in QuickBooks, okay, does not tell the bank to set it up. You can create what's called a memorized transaction, but I don't feel like that is necessary because of as soon as the bank issues the check, all right, that you have told it to auto pay, when you're in your bank transactions, you will see it come through. All you need to do is to tell QuickBooks one time. So let's use books by Bessie. Let's say that, no, this is income. I need one that's an expense. This is perfect. A rental, uncategorized income. Perfect. So the company is called A Rental. So when I click on it, it allows me to open it up. So I need to select the payee. So in this case, we should have a company called A Rental, but if not, I'm just going to do it right now. A Rental Inc. Tells me that they wouldn't get a 1099, by the way. Okay, so it's not an uncategorized income, and I'm not going to do any special thing for it. Okay, so it's not uncategorized. It is rent. Maybe it's storage rent. Let's see if it has storage rent. Just typing stuff in, QuickBooks can find it for you if you already have it. So, but I don't have storage rent. So I'm going to add a new account, and it's going to say, what is this? What is the account type? It's an expense. Remember your 6 building blocks. You gotta know it's an expense. What is the detail? Well, it's not advertising. It's a regular expense. So I'm going to look here and see one. So this is just a office and general administrative. I can get it more. I can do other business expense. Probably the best choice for that. Where it's on your profit and loss report is not captured here, okay? It's just ordinary overhead. You can put more description, but this is, you can say that it's, I'm going to put it under storage rent. Okay, there it is. So I'm going to save it there. So now what happens is, let's say I'm going to add this one the first time. The next time it comes through, it will recognize that I've told it this is what to do. See how it changed these? Okay. It will do that. And when the bank feeds come in to your QuickBooks Online, it will say, I know what this is. And it will tell it that it's storage rent. And then all I need to do is either go here and add them one at a time, or click here, click where's the other one? There's one, and there's the other one. Click. Please note that these are the ones for review. These are the ones that you're going to categorize. And if you say that this is a duplicate, then it will allow you to exclude it. It says, do you want to accept these? Yes, please. Do I need to edit them? Are they wrong? Do I need to exclude them? In this case, I'm going to accept them. I think that answers your question. Okay.
Great. We have flows of questions coming in.
Oh, I know. This is always what happens, and we have a little bit more time, so I'm good to answer questions until you just kind of call it and say that it's
okay. Are we going to go over? Oh, hold on. I just missed a question. Are we going to go over sales tax for California using QuickBooks Online? Well, we'll probably have to set up another webinar just to cover that.
We'd have to do that. Sales tax. So to answer the question quickly, be sure that your sales tax amounts are correct. Okay, the rate. Okay, that you're charging on your invoices, that you have the county or the city or the district or all of that stuff, and use what you know about sales tax from the, I'm assuming you're in California, whatever your sales tax entity is. Get it set up in your items list. Make sure that they're correct for each one of the communities that you're selling to. Second of all, the other thing to know is that when you're paying sales tax, you need to pay it through the sales tax payment feature because it's collecting it into a liability account. So it's a more advanced training. And again, some people hire me just to help them with their sales tax. Can I transition from Wave to QuickBooks? Maybe, maybe not. This is a great question to ask the Intuit community if it will allow you to transition. If it does not allow you to transition, January is an absolutely brilliant month to do it. Okay, because you just bring in the January transactions and you get your QuickBooks lined up and you use your information from Wave to button up your last year. Or you can print reports and you can do a general journal entry and post all of the information in there that is for last year by the categories. Again, this is a more sophisticated and more advanced kind of training. It's a great question though. Okay.
When you were presenting the slides, you said post. Hold on, I just
yes,
missed
I
the
see it. So
question.
post the bank transactions before you do the credit card.
Yes.
So I'm in banking. Okay. Great question. Thank you. So you'll see the boxes up here. Okay. So checking, savings, there's my credit card. I do them in order because payments and things that are in the checking account may affect the credit card. When they're done, or in the savings account, these now will have updated information. So I process it, and this is the way they show to process it. For online, desktop, I had to figure it out on my own. I do checking first, I do my savings account next, and I do my credit cards after that. Great question. Thank you for asking. Trust that answers your question. It's just 1, 2, 3. If I do savings, you'll see the transactions change. If I do MasterCard, you'll see the MasterCard change. These are the transactions that are feeding into your bank. Okay. These are the bank feeds. And that's why you connect all of this stuff. And it allows you to go through these one at a time. And remember, I said post what you know first. So for example, if you know that this is correct, I would post these. But if you remember what this was for, great, post it now. If you don't, then hold off. Lara's lamination. You may remember that's who it is. Lara's at lamination. What was the expense for? Okay. Was it for marketing? What was it for? You're going to identify it because you're not going to allow things like uncategorized expense. If you want to file your taxes with uncategorized expense, first of all, you don't know what's going on in your company. Secondly, that's a really quick way to catch the IRS's attention, is to record things as uncategorized expense, because when you give it to your CPA, that's what they will put in. I see the messages are coming fast and furious.
Yes. I'm so sorry, guys. Time's up.
Our time is up?
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yes, our time's up. It's already 11:03.
Okay.
Should we share your contact information and my contact information? So
absolutely, absolutely. I'm happy to answer a question or two. I'm for no cost. And so everyone, I'm a fee-based consultant. I think that it's super, super important that you learn how to use this tool. And if it's more than just a quick question, then we should set up a consult. That's all I can tell you. Okay.
Sure. So I just shared my information, email addresses. So if you have any further questions, please email me so I could find a way to, answer that question through Lorna.
Yeah. Yeah. No, right. I know that this is a big conversation. There's a lot to know. And I would remind you that understanding the 6 building blocks is where all the power and ease comes, because you can figure out this tool. Okay. You can figure it out, and then you can get your questions asked and answered. And remember, you can ask the Intuit community online. You'll have my email, my contact information is on the slide deck, and I will send that over. And I'm happy to answer a few questions. Just identify how you know me, basically from a PACE workshop, and we can take it from there.
Okay, thank you so much for a great webinar, Lorna.
My pleasure, everyone. I'm so glad to have all this engagement with you. This is absolutely wonderful. So you let me know if there's anything that I can do to help you.
Okay, great. So PACE offers great webinars, very informative webinars on a daily basis. So please make sure you visit our website to register for other webinars as well. That's it. That's all we have today. Hope everybody has a great rest of the day.
Okay,
Thank
bye-bye.
you.
Thank you.